Newsfirst, NEWSLINE with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And very good evening to you. This is Newsline Live. We're broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dorset Street in Colombo, as we almost always do. And this evening, we have a guest who we've been trying very hard to get on our program for several months, actually. But finally, he's here. Thank goodness, in a perverse sort of way, for what's happening around the world, because he hasn't been able to travel, which would normally be his job. And he's right here with us, the very much respected and very much beloved Dinesh Gunawardena, Foreign Minister. He's right here. Very good evening to you, Mr. Dinesh.
Good evening, Mr. Faraz.
And
to be with Newsline.
Well, thank you very much for turning up here, and also thank you for accepting the invitation. And we are glad that you have apparently kept safe. And how has it been? Has it been a challenging time as a Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Anyhow, Minister of Foreign Affairs is a fairly big challenge, being from Sri Lanka and the international situation, a new government in office with clear policies committed to upholding those foreign policy positions, convincing our friends across the world of our position. So it is a new page that has begun.
And it seemed rather easy for you to extricate us as a country from the co-sponsorship of UN resolution, of the co-sponsorship. What are the ramifications?
Yeah, very much. I mean, the Human Rights Commission sessions we went, His Excellency the President, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, has mandate, and the country's mandate that we cannot agree with the resolution that was supported by our own government, should never have done. Secondly, violating our own constitution, as well as the basic reasoning given in the resolution is country specific, plus not substantiated facts, which we openly stated to the Assembly, that we are committed to upholding the UN network, UN resolutions in all of the agencies, which we have done. Sri Lanka has brought back democracy under our government. LTT was defeated.
Did it help when our President said that he would consider withdrawing from various agencies if they continued to, in effect, harass Sri Lanka? I know he didn't use that word, but that kind of thing.
He said he wouldn't hesitate to leave any agency. Obviously, I mean, so many countries have left so many agencies, including the United States. They have left the Human
It's a slight difference between
Council.
the US and Sri Lanka.
So many other countries, even smaller countries, have left or not accepted the Human Rights Council resolution, and many other agencies of the UN. There are so many agencies of the UN. But Sri Lanka has been very clearly committed to the main principles of peace and progress among the people across the world.
How committed is this government to actually moving forward on the issues of accountability and so on, at least in terms of reparation and the return of lands?
Faraz, I must be very frank. The fastest amount of land that was given back happened during the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's tenure, soon after his victory until he left. Thereafter, the process that was areas identified moved slow. Housing, which was envisaged, was not delivered by the last government. They had 5 years. They did not deliver. The rate that we brought back all those who crossed and came, 300,000. Historic number.
Yeah.
where the UN itself commended Sri Lanka for its
But
protection.
along the way, we lost that narrative, though, didn't we?
We lost that narrative because the last government, I have heard in Parliament, I have listened and I have participated in debates where the government was accused by the TNA for not delivering the promises of even building houses. And they were accusing that that is because the government was involved in, brokering various, promoting various tender procedures to favor their friends. So the people of the north did suffer. They did not enjoy the growth
Do you
rate.
think that that suffering and that frustration will result in more votes for your party or for your alliance at the forthcoming parliamentary elections?
We did poll more votes in the local government elections. The TNA lost its vote base in the local government elections. And so many political developments have taken place. The original TNA has split. So many others have emerged. The main demand that they put, provincial councils, they themselves have voted against. They say they did not believe that the government will play them out. The last government did plan not to have provincial council elections when they moved that resolution. And we opposed and said this will lead to no provincial council elections. So today, what the TNA enjoyed in the north and rest of the country, the provincial councils, elections have not been held. So the election commission has failed to hold provincial council elections. The largest allocation of budgetary provision goes for provincial council elections.
Mr. Gurani, you've been always sort of in support of all things that's fair and equitable. In that context, do you feel that Sri Lanka, the people of Sri Lanka, will be able to have a free and fair election, especially given the groundwork in terms of COVID-19 and so on? Is it fair that, this is the second part of that question, is it fair that the people of this country are being forced to choose between the right to franchise and the basic human right, the right to life?
We have overcome, let us be very pragmatic. We have overcome the main challenges of COVID-19. Sri Lanka has been a success story, but we have to maintain the constant vigil that the health department and the doctors have been demanding. But elections also have to be held. Parliament is the center of all the relevant powers in relation to legislation, either bringing new legislation or amending or repealing legislation which could be harmful to the country and to the people. Also, the financial control by way of the budget for development and what are the priorities that we are moving forward. So the parliament has to be elected. We have gone through, I remember, Faraz, you remember, we went through an election during the early days of the UNP government, our President Premadasa's election, when no one was attending meetings. Because everyone was being threatened. No one was expected to vote if the first voter was being fired at. But people elected the parliament. That is the basis of democracy. We had members of parliament coming in with 200 votes, you remember?
Yes.
Well, we cannot forget those days. But as we elected them, moved forward, the country was able to consolidate the victories of democracy. And today it's only the health issue. And people will come to vote. They voted on the 18th of November to elect a president. and they are waiting to elect the parliament for His Excellency the President's party.
Now then, some of your responses has met with grave consternation from the members of the public who are actually giving up their time to watch this program, and especially because you're on the program. And some of them do beg to differ. It is under President Maithripala Sirisena that much of the lands was given back. And I think that is you're sort of whitewashing the facts, are you not, Mr.
No,
Nandawat?
I'm not whitewashing the facts. I have stated it very clearly, the numbers in Parliament, in debates. You know, the first stage was for demining. If you don't demine, you cannot settle anyone. So that's the highest percentage that was done during a mass time. Moving them out, demining, which is in the UN report of that era, and then getting the people back to their areas for farming, agriculture, fishing, and development, getting the infrastructure back, the roads, the hospitals, the schools. I mean, but this last government was moving very slow. Delivery was very slow. President Sirisena also did.
But they did make
clear
significant gains in terms of especially the agricultural land and so on. Scores and scores of hectares of land was actually handed back, and they appeared to have made a steady gain on that aspect. Although sadly, including the TNA, didn't lend the necessary support in terms of housing. And there was much talk of 65,000 houses, there was talk of 50,000 houses, and so on. And I think that the results are shameful. Shameful on behalf of the people of that area. Because despite all the talk, there appeared to be more development work done in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, rather than actually in the former conflict areas, and that is the fact. The people, quite a large number of the people in the north, still remain without housing, without opportunity, and without real hope. In fact, their position is actually hopeless. And
very much.
And it is sad that Colombo, the political hub, is doing almost nothing of any substance to represent those people's interests. And after all, they're all Sri Lankans, like you, me, and everybody else.
This government is committed to give all the equality that is necessary. It was very clear during COVID-19 that we delivered the same services and the assistance from Point Pedro to Dondra. I mean, it is an accepted thing, so one cannot say discrimination was on. No, all what could have been done has been done to every village, and the allocations that were flowing were delivered. Fisheries was one of the areas which did not come initially as one of the first steps, not under curfew, could go fishing. Of course, fish were traveling all over, whether curfew or not. So fishing was allowed. Agriculture was cleared of curfew, which benefited the people of those areas, north, east, NCP, the agricultural areas, plantation areas. So it was very clear that there was a program on which we were moving. Absence, I would say, absence of the provincial council, elected representatives, members of parliament as a result of being dissolved, but the local government councillors were actively participating, irrespective of their political differences.
On that note, it's time to go for a short break at Newsline Live. Don't sort of go away, because after all, this is Newsline Live. We'll be back soon.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. We're in conversation with the Foreign Minister, Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena. Mr. Dinesh, again, thank you very much for being on the program. Several questions. One is that what's the purpose of having thrice weekly flights to Sydney by the national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines? What is the purpose? Is it, we'd like to know.
There is a demand by Sri Lankans wanting to return. There is also from New Zealand and other areas who fly into Australia, and through them it flies back with our airlines to Colombo.
So there's like a demand?
Yeah. Now even in London we are flying. There are people coming into London from other places, and we fly. I mean, I was with the British Foreign Secretary, State Secretary was online with me yesterday. He was appreciating what Sri Lankan Airlines is doing to keep the traffic going. Because
it leads us to this other issue that many Sri Lankan expatriate workers, especially from the Middle East and so on, and also, in fact, closer home from Mali, which we've sent details of. We've shared details with you. They're all wanting to come back home, but you know, and it's understandable because they don't really want to pass away elsewhere if they have to. If that is their fate, they'd rather do that in Sri Lanka, back home. And yet there appears to be some form of challenge going on, and that the government is simply unable to bring these people back, our people, citizens of our country, back, even though they've contributed so much to our economy in terms of the remittances they send back. Why is there such a challenge? Why is it that
there are so many categories of Sri Lankans who wanted to come from the very beginning. The beginning of COVID-19, all airports were shut down by every country. Let us not forget that.
Yeah.
There was a period that was piling up. Then we were only flying selected places. We have almost brought in nearly 10,000 by today from various parts of the world. Students was the first category the President and the government decided. Students have been given the opportunity to return. Then our expatriates were working. Some of them, of course, registered, but later on deregistered. Mm-hmm. Of course, the situation was growing.
But seriously, is it only around 45,000 who want to come back?
Yeah.
Because we have so many people working overseas.
We have so many. We have really speaking about 1.7 million working abroad.
Yeah.
All of them would not like to come there. They understand.
So is it just 45,000 who want to come
45,000 who have opted for, which includes not only those who have been working, but families who have been living abroad. So that is the third category. So all these are being given the chance to return. Every day, every week, flights are coming in from different parts of the world. Even from Mozambique we flew a few days ago, expatriates.
Now I want to sort of move on a bit because we've only got a few minutes left. And I'd like to take it political. Are you comfortable as a man with a huge political background and a political pedigree as well? Are you comfortable being a member of a party where the spotlight and the focus is on one particular family, namely the Rajapaksas?
We have been working together as a front, and the Rajapaksas, as well as I would say the Gunawardenas, have had a long-standing political friendship and cooperation.
But what
no government has come in without a front. Political fronts have been elected by the people.
But in
so we are working. The question you asked was whether I feel okay. Yes, I'm delivering as foreign minister, a very important area in the government.
Does that does it indicate some form of subservience to the Rajapaksas?
No, the country elects its leaders. Of course, they don't agree.
But in the party, it was a vote of a show of hands.
All have shown a show of hands. We see November 18th, those who are wanting to take over power today split into pieces the grand old party, the UNP. We are not that. Our progressive camp is together, and we are committed to a program where President Rajapaksa has very clearly said he will keep up to his pledges to the country. This is what the people want today.
Can the people of the North also then be hopeful?
Yeah, people of the North have given up terrorism after the defeat of LTT.
Well,
they are part of the democratic process.
Yeah, but the terrorism was not the people of the North. It was a section of the people of the North.
All the democratic forces were keeping silent in the North until...
And lots of the democratic forces were murdered
because they were supporting.
By that fellow.
They were supporting and they were being humiliated, I must say, until our heroic forces went and cleared of terrorism. Only after that we held elections, the provincial elections.
Many politicians and political hopefuls were murdered by the terrorists.
By the LTT. Yeah, because they were cooperating with them, and LTT never wanted anyone to rebel.
They were cooperating with democracy, not with them.
They were moving with the LTT, giving them hope, trying to see whether they could move with LTT for their political gain. And LTT's sole intention was eliminate all. Only we shall represent the Tamil people, which was the debacle for the people of the North.
I have a last and final question for you just as we finish. You need to give a quick answer though. Wasn't it a fact that during the MR regime, career diplomats had been replaced by henchmen, friends and cronies, if not relatives? Has not this brought down the worldwide acceptance of the Sri Lankan passport? That's a general term, but obviously what the person is trying to say is that with the politicization of the diplomatic service, for which the blame actually has to go to during the Rajapaksa administration, where many appointments were made not within the formal diplomatic sort of service rules and practice.
All governments have made appointments outside the diplomatic service. We have to have professional being built up in the diplomatic service, and also meet the new challenges. Not only the old traditional places that we have canvassed, the new places where Sri Lanka will have to canvass for the future. And also on the political front, Faraz, we champion the cause of non-alignment. Non-alignment achieve its key areas of victory. But today the world has changed: economics, markets, business, investments. So our professionals must deliver. That's why able political appointees were also sent as ambassadors. I don't think
so necessarily evil. Now, on that note, I'm afraid we've run out of time. So, Dinesh Gunawardena, thank you very much for being on NEWSLINE Live. We will indeed meet again. And thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great and wonderful evening ahead of you. And of course, God bless.